Welcome to Channel 292. I'm your host, John Burgundy. And this is my co-host, Veronica Diaz. Today we're pleased to have expert Philippe Montaigne from National Geographic talk to us about deforestation. So what exactly is deforestation? Why should we care?
Well, first of all, John, thank you for having me. So deforestation is the process by which forests get cut down or burned down, and we lose about 18.7 million acres of forest per year, which equivalates to 27 soccer fields every minute.
Oh.
Imagine that, that's enormous. Forests are the lungs of the world. They take CO2 from the atmosphere, convert it to the oxygen, reducing the greenhouse effect, and so cutting down the trees at the rate at which we're doing it is just harming the environment at terrible levels. So we absolutely need to protect our forests.
That's terrible, Phil. But before we get into the consequences, let's talk about some of the causes. What brings this behavior about? Armando Sanchez is an ecobiologist working in Brazil. Armando, what's happening?
Thanks, Veronica. Here in Brazil, approximately 80% of deforestation is for cattle. There are around 200 million heads of cattle in Brazil, which makes it the largest exporter of meat in the world. Around 450,000 square kilometers of deforested Amazon in Brazil are for cattle alone. We have a Venezuelan farmer with us here, Mario, to share some of his experiences. Mario?
Sí, bueno, yo necesito el bosque para proveer a mi familia. Nosotros cometemos deforestación, pero claro, porque necesitamos eso como fuente de ingreso familiar y bueno, se usa para cosas comerciales como las hojas, la silla en la que usted te sienta. Básicamente nosotros estuvimos quemando el bosque para hacer agricultura y ganadería más que nada, y nosotros quemamos el bosque, nos da los nutrientes necesarios, plantamos los árboles y después nosotros nos movemos al siguiente lote cuando los nutrientes ya no están. Así que sí, nosotros necesitamos eso para proveer a la familia.
Thank you, Mario. Back to you, Veronica.
Thank you guys for the explanations. Let's get back to Philippe. Now, you were mentioning earlier that one of the biggest consequences was the disruption of the carbon cycle. Would you mind expanding on that for our non-scientific audience?
Yeah, no problem. So, as you were mentioning, the number one problem of deforestation is the impact on the global carbon cycle. According to Greenpeace, we lose about 300 billion tons of carbon, 40 times the amount released by fossil fuels, are stored within the trees. You know, forests are not just responsible for cleaning the air per se, but they also store the CO2 within their tree trunk. So when we burn trees down, we release that CO2 directly into the atmosphere again, and in a much more concentrated level, or indirectly through industrial processes that consume fossil fuel indirectly. According to the 2010 Global Forest Resource Assessment, deforestation in general releases 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide in the air per year, although we have decreased that number fortunately in the last decade. Deforestation is the second largest anthropogenic, which means human caused source of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere after fossil fuel combustion, ranging between 6 and 17%, according to some studies.
Well, thank you so much for that information.
You're welcome.
Now coming to us is Thomas Donor, a conservation biologist and political activist. Thomas, what would you like to add?
Thanks, John. Well, I think Philippe hit the nail on the head here, but I'd like to add that biodiversity is also a huge problem. According to National Geographic, forests provide up to 70% of habitats for the world's terrestrial plant and animal species. So when we're talking about serious habitat loss, we're also talking about serious extinction. So this is a huge problem not only for those species that it could potentially die out, but also for the communities that rely on them, for things like food, shelter, water, and many more of these services that these species are providing. Now, another problem that my colleagues and I are working on is the problem of soil erosion. So if you'll come with me, you can talk now that the trees and vegetation provide many benefits for the soil, controlling things like rainwater runoff, as these roots are catching up to 50% of all of that water, but also things like protecting from desertification, maintaining solid soil for agriculture, and also protecting from serious natural disasters when rainwater rushes through a desertified area and causes a torrent, potentially wiping out millions of acres of homes. Thanks, John. Back to you.
Wow, that is terrible. I never heard about that. Unfortunately, guys, we're running out of time. We have to talk to Gilbert Schulk, who works at a reforestation site at Indonesia. Gilbert, is there any possible solution to the immense problem we've heard of today?
Hi John, I'm here in Indonesia where they're working on reforestation as a solution to the loss of rainforests due to deforestation. However, this solution doesn't fully address the loss of biodiversity because once a species is gone, it's gone forever. However, this solution does help to restore ecosystem services such as carbon storage, water cycling, wildlife habitat, and it does assist with reducing CO2 in the atmosphere. It also offers an opportunity to save disappearing species, but action has to be taken in the next few years. Other solutions do include credit regimes to incentivize landowners and policy interventions with legal consequences. Back to you, John.
Thanks so much, Gilbert. We've all truly learned a lot. Stay tuned for next time at Channel 292.